Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be looking at the Wonderland Dream Abyss Spawn deck. So pretty straightforward, pretty good engine in it. You're running, the Unicorn Dancers for 2, Bahamut for 2, Hungering Horde, Cyclone, Diabond Moon, Righteous Devil Belf, Big Knuckle Boxer, Scarlet Sabers, Diabolic Drain, Demonic Officer, Queen Vampire, the 2 spawns, the Temperance Vampire, and the Revelations. So that's the entire deck structured. Obviously, Righteous Devil being a one-of and Diabond being a one-of because they're situational cards. The Scarlet Sabers are actually really quite good. I've been, playing them a little bit now, and they tend to work fairly well. You will find this list on Game Press, along with links in the description to that. That's where I grabbed the deck initially, and I've been playtesting it a little bit. There isn't too much I'd really change. Most of the deck works pretty well. Comboing things like Blood Moon and Belf, Blood Moon Revelations, Blood Moon Righteous Devil, all those sort of combination cards with Blood Moon work really nicely. You've also got the Big Knuckle Boxer, which is a huge kind of swing thing, especially if you also combo this with Blood Moon. So this whole deck works really nicely along with the Blood Moon, especially since you're not playing really anything else on 3. You're drawing to drop Unicorn on 2, maybe even Bahamut on 2. Don't always need it to be a 5-drop and draw Abyss or Temptress. Sometimes it's just nice to use it to pull Abyss into hand, or a Temptress Vampire into hand. So we are only running 2 Abyss, 3 is a bit clunky and a bit hard to run. Obviously the Demonic Officer is great for removing amulets, which is probably the better reason to run this. Also the Gaining Storm from Vengeance works really nicely as well. There are plenty of decent things with this deck, as you'll see in the upcoming games. The Diabolic Drains, which also work quite nicely with things like Blood Moon. There's just great combo synergy with Blood Moon in this deck, and basically a lot of decent control. So you can clear a lot of things with Big Knuckle, with Scarlet, with Diablo, with Temptress Vampire, Revelations. All those cards are great clears. And if you can push into a spawn, you can either leave it cloaked or you can just use it to finish the game by ramming it to face, especially with its 8 attack damage evolve and its 8 damage last word. Plus, if you do get to ram it to face, you deal a maximum of 16 damage there, which is quite nice. Other than that, we'll get right into the game, so hopefully you enjoy the video, and we'll get right to it. Alrighty, so we have a game 1 here. It's obviously Blood on Blood. Blood is pretty popular at the moment in Masters, so we're not going to get too much variation. We are seeing fairly different Blood decks around, which is really nice, and I don't mind that too much at all. But we start off with a 2-drop hand, so Unicorn, Hungering, and Bahamut. Not too bad at all. So we draw into the Scarlet, going for that 5-drop, which is nice. We then just drop Unicorn. I tend to optimize for Unicorn on turn 2. The threat that it poses to the opponent is always good, and if they don't clear it, being able to just hit them in the face with it is always nice, so can't really go wrong. We also get the Belf, which prompts me just to play the Bahamut. I've got 2 of them, so I thought, why not? May as well just play it. I've got 3 Temptresses I can pull, so being able to get at least one of those in hand reasonably early is quite good. So they are playing a slower deck with this key. They haven't played really much, but we're building up our board quite steadily. We do take half our health, which was a little bit of a risk I was willing to take here. Going against Blood, you do want to be careful about your health total, and I noticed that Belphegor in the second game, you'll see, was a lot better to play with Blood Moon than on its own, but if you have to play this on its own, it does work. So we do have to deal with this Big Knuckle Boxer, which is just a little bit of a pain. But we do end up with the Bahamut. And what I should have done is probably rammed the 2-1 to face and then just played evolved the Bahamut into the follower. Unfortunately, it wouldn't have made any difference because this card would have countered me anyway, but that would have probably been the more optimal play there. This was one of my first few games of the deck, so bound to just kind of learning it as I go sort of thing, which isn't so bad. So we do end up getting to play Spawn here. The advantage of playing Spawn here means that Demonic Officer, for example, is actually quite usable. We also can just use Scarlet to ping the extra 2 damage we're going to need once we evolve this. So overall it ends up working out quite well. So instead I decided to ram that 2 damage there and just go with Spawn of Abyss to face for 16, which is a pretty good outcome. There was heaps of different ways to combo off the damage I needed, which was good. Now the second game, also against Blood. I do apologize there's so many Blood games, but it's just how my matchups kind of fell. I'd say I versed at least 50% Blood when I was trying to get these clips, so bound to end up with a couple of Blood clips. So we start off with not a great hand, really high drops, which is to be expected considering we're not running too many lower drops in the deck. So running higher and stuff isn't that uncommon. Alright, so we got the Bahamut and we got the Blood Moon. We do just pass turn 2, keeping the Bahamut for turn 5 because I'm going to go for the Blood Moon Belf, which is a great little combo that I noticed. This was the game I actually noticed it initially, being able to just play it. Plus, because of the fact that I'm versing another Blood deck, a lot of the Blood decks have now slowed down a little bit, so the first 2 turns you can normally expect very little coming out, unless you are facing Carabo's Blood, which isn't too hard to face, honestly, with this deck. The amount of health gain that you've got in this deck is substantial. The synergy with Blood Moon, Unicorn Dancer, and things like that work really nicely to heal you back up. So we get a couple options, and I just go with playing the Bahamut just to draw out whatever I can. Unfortunately, I do draw into a Temptress Vampire, which was kind of unfortunate. I had about a 50-50 of drawing into Spawn and hit the Vampire, which, yeah, not exactly great. And unfortunately, we also have no Revelations, so we cannot deal with this board effectively. The lucky part about this is we actually have enough to deal with a majority of the board. Luckily, the Scarlets work really nicely for cleaning up 2 damage, and with a potential evolve, we can also kill off Spiderweb Imp, leaving them just with a Wolf. So this game was reasonably close with what they end up with. Another Dark Air Jammer following that up.
This is my home. You are my food.
There is nothing to be afraid of.
So the fortunate part here is I've actually got alright cards, making it not impossible to deal with the board. I decided to not worry about going for the Abyss play, and I focus more on pushing damage with this Vampire Queen. So I did deliberately take 3, kind of unfortunate, but when it come down to pushing out the best card I could out of my hand, I didn't really have a choice. Demonic Officer wasn't going to be enough. I wasn't in Vengeance, so I wasn't getting the ability out of that to actually clear something. Temptress Vampire would have been an okay play, but left me in a similar position, but where they could actually hit me in the face without wasting a bunch of stuff, which would have been unfortunate. Plus, fortunately, saving the Temptress Vampire here was much better. And we finally draw into Revelations, which we could have done with earlier. But that 5 health boost puts me out of range of most of what Blood can do. It would have required a double Dark General? Yeah, double Dark General to deal me off here. And they would have needed to be in Vengeance, which just isn't possible from where they were. So they managed to go for the 1 Dark General. Luckily we have another Temptress and we're going straight into turn 9. So we actually have enough damage to close this game out. So while that was close, the extra healing and the Temptress Vampires work really nicely together. So we're going to game 3, guys. So we finally get a different deck. We're versing Haven, which makes for an interesting matchup. Haven is traditionally a control deck, so control on control, Haven usually has the advantage. And definitely makes for an interesting video, that's for sure. Being able to push out the Unica is always good. If you can, always aim for Unica in your opening hand. Don't dump things that you can guarantee are going to be good, such as the Belf Blood Moon combo, but you definitely do want that Unicorn Dancer. You've also got the Abyss. Drawing that is great. Just great having that in your hand like that. Not this early, but it's definitely good. Double Blood Moon is probably actually the letdown of this entire hand. One Blood Moon is good, Double Blood Moon is kind of meh, just because there's not much you can do with both in your hand at the same time. You kind of want one to finish as you draw into the next one if you're going to combo off with them. Fortunately, we do get Righteous Devil. Always a good card to play with Blood Moon, provided that their board is empty or you have an evolve point to take advantage of its effect. It's mainly the Bane here that I wanted to play it on, or force out that, so that when I do play Belphegor next turn, I'm not stressing about having to lose it, and I can potentially push an extra 6 damage. And the Blood Moon taking Diabolical Drain to another level of crazy, allowing us to heal 2, deal 4, which will easily clean up this Tin Soldier here. You can't really go too wrong with that.
Give it to me again.
Fortunately, that Revelations is amazing. Neutral Haven and Neutral Sword suffer really heavily when you use Revelations to clear house, especially since you have a lot of other clear potential with Grimnirs and things like that. They really open up doors for you when you're playing. So, for example, this whole board here, they get what, 6, 8 damage total, and then I clear house, along with potential other plays, which is nice, along with the healing from Diabond. So Diabond is a risky card. Sometimes you just gotta take that risk and it pays off. Other times you don't. So cleaning board, playing a Grimnir because I have 2. Why not? If we have 2 Grimnirs, may as well play 1 out just to defend ourselves a little bit. Unfortunately, I forgot that that was gonna proc. If I had remembered, I probably wouldn't have played it anyway and just left it, because then it would have just fizzled out. So the good thing here is I don't actually need to really worry about that card, and I can just focus on pulling out more cards. The bad thing there is I misplayed majorly and I didn't attack. If I had have attacked, I would have been able to do so much. So unfortunately I missed 4 potential damage on that misplay. It really hurt to notice that. I did it straight away too. I was like, oh my god, I hit end turn and confirmed it once I attacked, which just sucked. Luckily we did pull another Revelations, which is awesome. This deck does a really nice job of filtering things. Now here's the great part. When they have nothing left and I get to play Abyss onto a board like that, that always feels amazing. Fortunately they do Tribunal it, but that is their last one. So we've just done an 8 damage for, you know, 8 for 8. 1 damage per point that I spent, plus the evolve I guess. And we have double Grimnir in hand. And Temptress Vampire, so their only out is to heal out of range and survive. Or finish me off super early. Which I'm pretty sure is what they try and aim for here. Is the early finisher. Stormhaven I just don't think is as good as it probably could be. Like, it's not bad, it's just you're filling your board with amulets and then you have amulet summoners, you're losing 2 spots on your board, which is kind of shitty. So I noticed I missed lethal here. I missed it so hard. I had Spawn of the Abyss in my hand from that draw. All I had to do was play it, evolve, and attack, and that would have closed the game. So I noticed that halfway through their turn, like right about here, that oh crap, I actually have Spawn. Fortunately they do actually play something that I can hit with it, so it means I can easily close out the game in the next turn. It's just really unfortunate that I didn't realize it sooner and put myself at a huge risk of losing. If they had had any more than 2 heal, I would have had to have Grimnir'd the board and just hoped that I could survive till the next turn to clear off again and deal some actual damage. But fortunately, Abyss here just, you know, deal attack, gets 8, closes out the game.